decision for him to remain isn't sitting well with some critics who are also upset that Cardinal Wuerl is expected to keep his spot in the Congregation of Bishops.
And joining us now to discuss all of this is a professor of theology at Boston College, Rick Gaillardetz. Thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate having you in. Wuerl, as we were just saying, will remain in the Congregation of Bishops. This was true as well of cardinal law after what happened here in Boston. Should Wuerl hold this position given the allegations against him?
Yeah, it's a difficult question. You know, we have to look at this in context. The Catholic Church today is probably facing the most significant crisis to its identity and credibility since the Protestant Reformation. And in that situation, every move by the Pope is looked at under a microscope. The difficulty, of course, is that all of this happened because Cardinal Wuerl was named in the Pennsylvania grand jury report. What makes it a little bit difficult is the Pennsylvania grand jury report actually gave him sort of a mixed report card. Right. They accused him of mishandling some cases, but they also credited him with a lot of good things that he did. He removed 18 priests from active ministry, and he actually got into a fight with the Vatican because he wanted to remove a priest, and they were resisting it. He was at the forefront of bishops meeting with victims. He was involved in developing the 2002 charter. So it's a difficult situation. He, prior to this, had actually a pretty good record on this score. The problem is, in the minds of many people, bishops have been getting a pass for a long time. We've cracked down on priests, but not on bishops. And there's a sense that if we're going to have a zero-tolerance policy for priests, we need to have a zero-tolerance policy for bishops as well.
So this seems to be the thing. Pope Francis today, in that language where he accepted the resignation, as we mentioned, used the word that the decision was noble. They obviously had a friendly relationship. Do you think that it causes some confusion when Pope Francis, establishes the sex abuse panel, but then will write language like that, continue to have Cardinal Wuerl involved? Do you think that the average non-Catholic, or even Catholics watching this, get confused about where the Pope stands? I
think they do get confused. I think, frankly, up until recently, the Pope's been confused. You know, I'm a huge fan of Pope Francis, but frankly, up until this year, he's been kind of tone deaf on questions of clerical sexual abuse. The turning point was when he actually accused some victims in Chile of calumny in challenging bishops. He was called to task on it, to his credit, including by Cardinal O'Malley. He realized he made a mistake, and since then, he seems to be understanding much more the gravity of these clerical sexual abuse situations. He's come out much more forthrightly in support of victims. He's been meeting victims. He issued a letter recently in which he condemned clerical sexual abuse and the clericalism underlying it. But I still think he's got a learning curve, and there are times when he's just tone deaf to how some of this language is heard by people who are justly outraged by what's going on.
What steps should he take? What more should he do, Pope Francis?
Well, I think we're going to have to develop a board, an independent board, that is going to have the power to investigate any accusations of episcopal malfeasance. Now, only the Pope can remove a bishop, but there's nothing to say the Pope can't empower this board to make recommendations to him. I think that's going to have to happen. I think there needs to be a number of institutional structures set up to allow the people of God to speak about their outrage. In Australia right now, they're planning for a plenary council in 2020, which lay people can participate in as delegates. It's going to be an opportunity there because they've been hit really hard with clerical sexual abuse. It's going to be an opportunity for people to actually speak about how upset they are at this. Francis needs to encourage the bishops to create listening sessions where people can communicate to the bishops how upset they are.
It's going to be important. Rick Gaillardetz, professor of theology at Boston College. We appreciate you coming in tonight. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.